Rimworld just recently got a new DLC. Naturally, I took this as a sign to ignore it completely. Yo, dudes and dudettes, this is Ketchu, and today we'll try to beat Rimworld for the first time, without DLC, without preparation, just raw, unfiltered pain. To kick this train wreck off right, I picked my old favorite, the Lost Tribe, because starting with 5 people and no pants is obviously the path to success. This might have been my first mistake. Randy Random became my storyteller, because he's the best, and because I've never even tried the others. Adventure story difficulty sounded friendly. It wasn't. Someday, I'd love to start in the desert or tundra, but not today. I am naked and afraid, so we went temperate. Like a true idiot, I completely ignored the team skills section, only making sure my unfortunate survivors didn't have any negative traits. My pawns were named after the brave souls watching the stream, which means any failures are, technically, their fault. We got Rusty, a bisexual optimist with a double passion for plants and arts, and a minor in social, perfect for running a pool club. Lianu, tough, hardworking, doesn't drink, majors in melee and construction, emotionally built like a fridge, socially calibrated like 1-2. Zilladin, shooting and construction main, with sidekicks in melee and medical, prefers tight spaces and tighter shot groupings. G-Bugs, another undergrounder, knows how to hammer things into place in more ways than one, minors in shooting, mining and plants. And G-Shan, quick sleeper and hard worker, survives on naps, majoring in shooting and melee with a minor in plants. Not a single one of them could cook. The real game was off to a delicious start.
The gods were very angry. The blood machines came at night.
Translation: welcome to Rimworld. You're screwed. We were born into a mostly flat mineral-rich area. It's always fun when the fertile grounds hug the edges of the map. At least we had decent starter animals. A dog, a cat and a horse. One for companionship, one for pest control, and one to carry our emotional baggage. I spent the next hour micromanaging everyone like a helicopter parent with a spreadsheet fetish. We set up a base by carving a warehouse into a mountain. A brilliant tactic, saving us one whole wall of effort. Call it efficient or lazy, you'd be right either way. I run a few quality of life mods, nothing wild. If you're curious, check the description. If it's not there, scream at me in the comments until it is. By nightfall, we had a fire, shelter, a field, and a colony full of optimism. Without knowing what I'm doing, I gave everyone an 8-hour workday and some bedtime TV. Even in the apocalypse, work-life balance matters. After the morning light had vanquished the horrible night, our preserved rations were already running out. Armed with whatever leftover weapons we had, we took down 2 weird cows and a raccoon. Nobody had to get hurt, and thanks to my incompetent leadership, someone did. We built a butchering table so we could extract the meat from the walk-in letterbags. Meanwhile, G-Box was busy sleeping away the pain of more than just existence. Our highest cooking stat was Chi-chan, clocking in at a powerful level 3. Qualifications? Not dead. Welcome to Hex Barbecue Pit. That night, a turkey wandered into camp to sleep by the fire. A bold move, and a delicious one. With food, fire and a 10-year grip on life secured, we started laying down walls. You know, for defense. Or at least for the illusion of safety. By morning, raiders arrived. We had nothing to offer them except our admiration, so we settled for awkward stares and silent judgment. We designated a pasture for our horse CJ, because she's practically family, and also our entire logistics department. After that, I found some silver in my pockets and made a snap decision. I bought 2 ducks. Why?
Do now, think later.
That's why. Lianu, Zilla and G-Bugs pulled overtime to build a duck pen. Watching Lianu lock a duck through the traps was a good glute workout. When Cheesan went out berry picking, I learned that my little pond in the corner was only good for decoration. I ordered that thing shut immediately. By now, the low food warning had evolved from an alert into a lifestyle.
A group from the Macomb Covenant are visiting the colony. They seem to have few items to trade. Well, that's lovely. I have nothing.
Meanwhile, the animals were getting hungry. The ducks could eat kibble, so, naturally, right as I was about to start production, a flash storm hit. In a panic, I slaughtered all the ducks. Now they'll never be hungry again. A costly solution, but undeniably effective. Then I sent everyone out to fight the fire, because I value buildings over mental health. But when evening came, they got sleepy. So I sent them to bed and hoped the fire would get bored and leave.
Maybe if we ignore it, it'll go away.
While they snowed through the Asian apocalypse, I made some grand recreational plans. 2 hoopstone rings for competitive poop slinging and a game board. Finally, entertainment worthy of a society. Wouldn't you know it, the next morning rolled in with rain. And thanks to a mod, you'll just have to believe it rained. There's no visual effect, only vibes. We went hunting, which went about as well as expected. Zilla caught some friendly fire. G-Box got donkey kicked by an alpaca. They both walked it off like champions with no health care. After this glowing display of professionalism, Lianu suggested we pick a faction name. I christened the colony Ketchutopia. Then Lianu suggested something cool as our faction name. So now, we are officially Ketchutopia of something cool. The next morning, Zilla had fully healed, just in time for the rest of the colony to get food poisoning from our war crime of a kitchen. Frankly, I'm amazed it didn't happen sooner. When a solar flare hit us, we had no clue. Rusty harvested our first rice crop, while we started the construction of individual bedrooms. Because if everyone's going to starve, they might as well do it in private. The kitchen was still soaked in puke. Really made me feel like I was running a functional society. In a shocking turn of events, growing hay grass inside the pasture was probably a poor call. CJ the horse was starving. We opened the gate, she immediately sprinted out, face planted into the grass buffet, and passed out. Problem solved. On day 13 of spring, the kitchen still looked like the aftermath of a frat party with cholera. Time for innovation. We built small gates at the base entrance, declaring our entire colony into an indoor pasture. Basically, a reverse zoo. Bedrooms were finished. Sleeping spots were reimagined. We repurposed the old barracks into a new kitchen. Because if you cover a mess with new wallpaper, it's basically gone. Thinking ahead for once, we built prison cells near the front gates. For guests. We also slapped the science room against the mountain. Then Randy hit us with a psychic drone that tanked all the women's moods. Because this game believes in equal opportunity suffering. So we built an outdoor dining area, because if we were going to spiral, we're doing it with ambience. For reasons unknown even to me, I finally remembered we could mine steel. The missing link between us and a functional stove. Progress, baby! Flexing my foresight for the second time ever, I designated a lovely vacation spot just north of our base. A scenic bit of despair I named Corpse Lake, because water speeds decomposition. Like on cue. The first raid hit right after that, just one guy. Instead of using the front door like a civilized lunatic, this brainiac decided to headbutt through the wall next to our back door. Naturally, this display of peak intellect was punished swiftly, and so he earned the prestigious honor of being the first guest of Corpse Lake. May his bones bob gently in the soup of future visitors. That night, summer drop kicked us in the teeth. The game politely reminded me that winter exists. We'd had a research bench since yesterday. I'd just forgotten. So, with research tab finally open, I pointed at complex clothing like a good leader. Our rice fields were trying their best. Unfortunately, their best was barely toddler on espresso levels of reliability, so we added 3 new fields, for variety. Then we went alpaca hunting again. Not favoritism, just desperate measures with convenient targets. The next morning, a Vag tried to eat Lianu. That big dumb idiot had it backwards. We do the eating around here. His day wasn't getting better. Later that night, Lianu caught the flu. We weren't worried, but overcorrected by planting an entire field of medicinal herbs. You know, just in case. Days passed. Lianu stared the flu down with pure spite and he was winning. Meanwhile, the rest of us suffered minor hunting injuries. Everything was fine, which in Rimworld is deeply suspicious. Zilladin got struck by a sudden stroke of inspiration. We considered giving her an art bench, then reconsidered and asked for something practical. With our pile of assorted leather, Zilla created a legendary bedroll. I was a little disappointed that there was no artistic description for me to read. Lianu had a new vomit doormat. Looked like someone committed a drive-by in his bedroom. He got up not long after. Guess the smell was therapeutic. To avoid another friendly fire moment, the melee and range hunters split onto different animals. Did it stop it from getting dicey anyway? Winter was still looming in the back of our heads. If things went south, we turned the nearby steam geyser into a sauna bedroom hybrid, which is either genius or a slow cooker death trap. We'd been eyeing a quest for a while. Promised Glitter World medicine could mean the difference between life and death. We prepped bedrolls, stocked food, packed pretty much everything in case we had to establish a new colony while the first burned. Everything was ready. Morale was high. Then Zilla collapsed mid-pack like a Victorian noble. Food poisoning. Guess we're not going anywhere.
It's only 500 worth of glitter medicine. It's less than the worth of your bed. We were only going for funsies anyway.
Sometimes things don't go the way we want. want. But even in our darkest hour, love finds a way to bloom, like broadleaf plantain.
G-Box tried to flirt with Ji-san by telling a tale about masculinity.
After what felt like an entire fiscal quarter, the hay grass finally grew in. We began building a barn to store it and the horse. We also finished researching complex clothing. Before winter, somehow, traders from insert faction name stopped by, we sold them our chems, then very subtly suggested they help us with the ancient danger. They agreed. And by agreed, I mean we stood behind them and yelled encouragements while they got eaten by the bugs. After the bloodbath, we looted the place, rescued the wounded, and the guns. Classic diplomacy. The science room became a temporary infirmary. 2 people were rescued from the cryopods. Alex, the teenage intern with no pants, and Lucero, a cryo fossil with combat credentials. One underpaid, one overqualified. Together, they balance out. The traders limped off into the sunset. Some didn't make it. We patched up their leftovers and the guns. Again, Alex officially joined us mid-mop-up. Nude, whiny and loud. A perfect hire. We also rescued the caravan's donkey. Not for loyalty, but for medical practice. On round 2 streaming this saga, I might have brain farted the chat on screen and my bot was running. So if you see something weird, ignore it. Or don't, I'm not your dad. Back in game, Alex was having a full body tantrum about nudity and pain and whatnot. So she dealt with it by aggressively insulting Lianu over and over. Lianu, known for his empathy and patience, knocked her unconscious and tucked her back in like a disappointed babysitter. We drafted plans for her bedroom, mostly to contain the yelling. Storage was also overflowing, so we expanded that too. Moments later, the ass goblins decided to raid us. They sent their village idiot. He hit a trap, panicked, and tried to run, but bullets caught up to him. While I fumbled the controls like a first-day intern, the Brain Council suggested I install the Allow Tool mod. I eventually complied. Turns out inventory management is also hard. We had a few corpses rotting in the storage room. Technically a biohazard, mostly just a vibe killer. Eventually, the last of the wounded traders recovered. They repaid us with some faction goodwill. Then Randy, sweet chaotic Randy, he sent us a pile of flake. Chems are his love language. And just when I thought things were stable, Alex, queen of public breakdowns, was suddenly hit with an inspiration to trade. No warning, no pants, just business. On the final night of summer, I had a breakthrough. We should make clothes. The colony had only been screaming for that for a week. Better late than frostbite. Lucero, who we graciously nursed back to health with our limited meds and even more limited patience, decided to say thanks by walking out the front door. Didn't even let me steal his pants first. A real missed opportunity. From the smoking wreckage of the great ancient danger caravan fiasco, we salvaged a shooting skill trainer. Rusty ate it for dinner and gained 3 levels. Hides were needed for clothing, so we started hunting things more aggressively. Why not just mix letters together, you ask? Because our religion says no, I think. Something about fashion purity or cow gods. I don't know. The research for complex furniture was wrapped up. Next up, stone cutting. So our homes don't barbecue us come fire season. By this point, we were up to 4 guns. Things were looking pointy. Then a rabid mutant cow wandered onto the map and tried to eat us. I forgot to arm Alex, so she just stood there providing moral support. We took it down and hauled it for dinner. Rabies doesn't scare us. Hoping to make the cook's life easier, we extended our kitchen and added some shelves for ingredients. Progress smells like cooked mutant beef, which of course meant it was time for a disaster. On the 4th of September, Zilla and Ji-san caught the plague. All we had was herbal medicine and misplaced optimism. And of course, Ji-san was our cook, who now had the plague and food poisoning, a double whammy. While death hovered like a condescending fog, we had just about finished our meal storage, right next to the dining table, so we could mourn while we munch. Ji-san and Ziladin fought valiantly. I had G-Bucks strip them in advance to preserve the clothes, because priorities. Despite our prayers and a vaguely threatening medical plan, 2 days later, both lost the battle. We buried them near Corpse Lake. There was a solemn moment of silence and a small ceremony.
Na 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 na.
And since we couldn't fire shots in the air, we shot a pumalope instead. This is now our official burial rite.
Now everybody fight fires, please.
An eclipse hit us like a bad omen. Sun was grieving, and the dog was wandering outside in sadness. We'll continue from here in part 2. Thanks for watching, see you next time, take care now, and bye bye then. Have a wonderful day.